Hello. Welcome back, everyone. Today, I want to share a few stories from my own life about traveling, moving around the city, and buying tickets. When you learn a new language, the best way to get better is simply to listen. Just relax, listen to my voice, and try to understand the story. Today, we're going to talk about buses, trains, and all the words we need when we travel. Let's get started. Every single day, we all have to go somewhere. Some people go to work, some go to school, and others just go to the market. Let me tell you about my daily routine. In the mornings, the streets are always very busy. My brother loves his car. He drives to work every day. Yes, he puts on his favorite music, sits in his car, and drives through the city. But for me, I do not have a car. I take the bus to school. I really enjoy it because I can look out the window, look at the trees, and think about my day. To take the bus, you can't just stand anywhere on the street. You can wait for the bus at the bus stop. There's a small bus stop right near my house with a little bench. I sit there every morning at 7 o'clock. Now, driving a car in my city can be very difficult. There are too many cars on the road. This road is famous for traffic jams. Sometimes the cars just stop and do not move for 20 minutes. It can be very stressful. But the bus is different. In my city, buses have a special road just for them. One day, my brother tried to drive his car on that special road to go faster. I called him and said, "Hey, you can't drive in the bus lane. It is against the law, and you can get a ticket. The bus lane is only for public buses." Because the bus has its own lane, it moves very fast. My friends always ask me about my morning travel. They ask, "How long does your journey to work take?" I always smile and tell them it only takes 20 minutes. It is very fast. When I get on the bus, I see many different people. Some are reading books, some are listening to music, and some are just sleeping. Public transportation is a wonderful way to see how people live their lives every day. Sometimes, I like to explore new parts of the city on the weekend. Last Saturday, I wanted to visit some beautiful historical places, but I was a little confused about which bus to take. I walked up to a big blue bus and asked the driver a question. I asked him, "Does this bus stop at the railway station?" The driver said yes. But I also wanted to see the big, beautiful church in the center of the town. So, I asked the driver another question, to be sure. I said, "You need to get off the bus when you arrive at the cathedral." While I was sitting on the bus, a tourist sat next to me. She looked very lost. She was holding a big map and looking out the window with a worried face. She turned to me and asked, "Does this bus stop at the library?" I smiled and told her, "Yes, don't worry, it stops right in front of the big library doors." Then she looked at her map again and asked, "Do you go anywhere near the town hall?" I told her that the bus goes very close to it, just a short walk away. It feels so good to help people when they are traveling. After a few minutes, the bus stopped, and a lot of new people got on. The bus became very crowded. The tourist looked confused again, because the streets started to look different. She looked at me and asked, "Can you tell me where to get off for the next station?" I told her to stand up and get ready because the next stop was hers. Traveling by bus is a great adventure. You meet new people, you hear different conversations, and you learn how to find your way around. It is like a small lesson in life every time you step inside. Now, let me tell you about a time I took a longer trip outside my city. Last month I had to visit my aunt. She lives in a beautiful town called Model Town. To go to another town, the bus is too slow, so I decided to take the train. I walked into the big, busy train station. There were screens everywhere, showing times and numbers. I walked up to the ticket window to buy my ticket. I looked at the man working there and asked, "How much is a single to Model Town?" A single ticket means you only go there. You do not buy the return ticket yet. The ticket was not too expensive, so I paid with some cash. If you travel by train every day, buying a ticket every morning can cost a lot of money. For example, my friend travels to the city center 5 days a week. He told me a great secret. He said, "I have a season ticket, so I can save a lot of money." A season ticket lets you travel as many times as you want, for a whole month or a whole year. It is a wonderful way to keep your money in your pocket. The man at the ticket window was very nice. He looked at his computer and asked me, "What day are you traveling?" I told him I was traveling right now on that very day. He printed my ticket and wished me a safe journey. I walked onto the train platform, but there were 3 different trains standing there. I was a bit nervous. I did not want to get on the wrong train and end up in a completely different city. I got onto the train, sat by the window, and watched the beautiful green countryside move past. Train journeys are so peaceful. You can read a book, sip some warm tea, and just enjoy the ride. Sometimes, even when we try our best, we get a little lost. On my way back from visiting my aunt, I had to use a mix of trains, buses, and even a boat. First, I got on a bus from the train station, but the roads looked completely unfamiliar. I turned to the passenger sitting next to me and asked, "Do I need to get off at the next stop?" The passenger looked out the window and told me, "No, not yet. The next stop is for the shopping mall." A few minutes later, the bus stopped at a big intersection. I wasn't sure if this bus went all the way to my neighborhood. So I asked the driver, "Do I need to change buses here?" The driver told me yes. I needed to get off this bus and wait for the number 10 bus. But then I saw something wonderful. There was a big river right next to the bus stop, and there was a beautiful boat waiting. A sign near the water said, "You can take the ferry across the river." A ferry is a large boat that carries people across the water. I thought, that sounds like so much more fun than a crowded bus. So I bought a small ticket and got on the ferry. The wind was in my hair, and the water was beautiful. It was the best part of my day. When the ferry reached the other side of the river, I was very close to the city airport. I got onto one last bus. Many people on this bus had big suitcases and bags. I looked at the lady next to me and asked, "Are you going to the airport?" She smiled and said yes, she was flying to another city for a holiday. I felt so happy for her. Finally, the bus arrived at my neighborhood, and I walked home. I was tired, but I felt very proud of myself for finding my way. Traveling can be scary for beginners, But remember, all you have to do is ask questions. Thank you so much for listening to my stories today. You did an amazing job just sitting here and practicing your English listening skills. Keep listening, keep learning, and I will see you in our next video. Have a beautiful day.